We all know Dumisani Chauke. She is larger than life. And as we close Women's Month, women's focus activities will come to a close too. And the hope is that the solutions spoken about won't also end with the 31st of August. As you mentioned, Chauke, the Netball Proteas assistant coach and a former player, joins me now. She also is the first ever female HOD of sports at the Tshwane University of Technology's Ga-Rankuwa campus. Good evening and welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Hey, Valen, lovely to be here with you.
Good to chat to you. This is always the month where we delve into women's issues, we bring up a host of issues, we talk about a number of solutions, and then we move on with the rest of the year. If you have to put your top 3 priorities down for the challenges that women's sports specifically are facing, what are they?
Well, number 1, equal opportunities into leadership. Number 2, equal pay. Equal pay for athletes, equal pay for female coaches, equal pay for female administrators. And number 3, implementation of women policies. I think that's quite important. We keep talking about it. We keep having webinars about it. When are we actually doing the work?
How realistic, though, is that in South Africa when the landmark women's sports policy in the globe, Title IX in America itself, is still trying to be implemented and policed?
Not necessarily practical, but we need to literally start taking practical steps towards implementing that. We can't just keep talking about it. I can literally count how many Women's Month webinars have been happening throughout the whole of August. And like you said in the intro, in the opening remarks, we can't just talk women issues only in August. There's other months in the year that we can actually talk about women's issues and highlight the plight of women, whether it's women in sport or women in education or just women in general in South Africa.
Dumisani, you took a bold move in this month. You were nominated for an award. It was a women's specific award, and you actually asked yourself to be removed from the nominees. Just explain to us what that was all about.
Well, basically, it's this whole notion of putting women against each other to constantly fight and battle it out for either positions or awards or recognition. And I just feel, especially in the same sport, there's absolutely no need. I just feel there's enough room for women in a particular sport to all have seats at the table without them being put against each other. And it happened last year again, and I thought it wasn't going to happen, and it happened again this year. And this year I had to make it public so people know and understand why I was pulling out and why I had requested for my name to be removed, because Women's Month is about celebrating women and not competing amongst ourselves as women. So I just feel if you're going to recognize someone for their contribution, for the work that they're doing for women in sport, go ahead and recognize them and don't put them up against each other, especially if they're from the same sporting code.
For netball, the Netball World Cup is just around the corner. It's going to be the first time that the African continent hosts this global showpiece. Will South Africa pull it off? Will Cape Town pull it off?
Definitely. We were able to, well, Africa was able to pull off the Netball Youth World Cup in 2017 down in Botswana. There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping Cape Town municipality from pulling it off. All systems are ready. We have already started with the launch, started with the build-up. Everyone is looking forward to coming down to Cape Town being a phenomenal city itself. So, yep, so the Netball South Africa, Cape Town, Africa is definitely going to pull it off.
You mentioned in your opening remarks the top challenges that women's sport faces, one of them being equal pay. I spoke to the South African Football Association as to how they remunerate their national players, and they were saying that the allowance, the daily allowance that is given to the players, that's equal among men and women. However, the match fees and the bonuses, which is how you actually make your money as a national player, that is different, and it's because of sponsorship. And this is something that was incredibly interesting when it comes to investing in women's sport, because there was a discussion around investing in women's sport. And one of the interesting things that came about investing in women's sport, because everybody says you need sponsorship and everybody relates sponsorship to the media, And that, in fact, was turned on its head. Just before you answer that and share your thoughts, I'd actually like to take a look at what was said by Bram Wessels of Telkom, a big backer of netball, as well as a man that's involved in data research when it comes to sports and how companies actually get behind sponsoring sport. Here's what they had to say.
We need to sort out what is this data animal we're talking about? How big is this sport really? And it's just in the top of my mind. If I just look at school sports, netball is massive, and so the million figure people are flowing around. I'm questioning it quite a lot, and hopefully we are looking at some data systems just to see if we can capture the data better, because we believe in partnerships, and if we can build a very good case, we can get more partners involved in certain sports, because as a sponsor, and that's why we are very privileged to work with Spar. We're a partnership, we're a family, we don't work against each other, because we also know, and we need more partners to make sport really attractive and to get it out there.
Yeah, if I can just take the comment from our founder, May Ntambira Vele. She says women's sport also need media coverage, especially on TV, to increase sponsorship opportunity. I think this is something that was touched on,
no, it's not
day
right.
one.
Disagree.
I disagree too, bro.
Yeah. I'll take you, Kelvin, first. Why do you disagree with this?
I think we live in a digital age, and it's digital first, and the opportunity as a rights owner to have your own direct-to-consumer opportunity gives you far more flexibility, far more ability to work with your sponsors and deliver for them. I think the days of television being the only way forward are over, and that's exactly to my point earlier. I think, Ntambi, I'm sorry, but if women continue to think like that, we're taking women's sport backwards.
So, Dumi, is it a time where women's sport need to actually rethink how they package their offering to sponsors to get the money in?
Well, I actually attended that conference, and I made a comment that we as women's sport, or whether it's netball, it's football, we first need to understand the products that we are holding and we are wanting to sell. If you don't understand or know the product that you want to sell, you won't know how to sell it. So we need to first understand and realize the value of the product that we have for us to better sell it to sponsors. Also, sponsors no longer just give out donations for the sake of CSI. They want tangible return on investment. So what is it that you are going to offer your sponsor? Not just exposure on TV, having your brand on your logo or something like that. They want to know how much of your participants will they have access to, because they then want to interact with them, like Bram said, directly, whether through digital, which is now social media, because social media has actually overtaken TV in terms of sponsorship. You can just see with the number of social media influencers that we currently have, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. There's influencers everywhere. So sponsorship is about understanding your product, building the brand equity of your product, that you're able to position it and sell it in a way that corporate cannot refuse. But going back to the response that was given from SAFA, I think when it comes to national federations, sports federations, when they do submit their sponsorship proposals, they need to make women's sport part of the deal and not an afterthought. Because currently it seems as if they are an afterthought. I mean, if you just look at the number of competitions that the male football players have compared to the females, why can't they be running parallel? Maybe we need to rethink how we are selling ourselves as women in sport as well.
Thank you very much. That's the Netball Proteas assistant coach, former player Dumisani Chauke. She's also the HOD of sport at the Tshwane University of Technology's Ga-Rankuwa campus. Thanks so much for your time this evening on Newzroom Afrika. Do stay with us.